I want to talk about a certain conversation I've had numerous times with people. I had it again recently, which prompted me to make this video and put it to rest once and for all. Before I moved out here to California, I spent the majority of my life in Queens. It's where I was raised, it's where I became who I am. It's a great place to live with so much to see. It is the most ethnically diverse place on the planet, representing over 100 nations, speaking over 138 different languages. You really don't have to travel very far to get great food from so many different parts of the world. Queens is just about one of the greatest places I know, and I'm proud to call it home. But I'm here today not as a representative of Queens, but of the whole city of New York. But why am I making a YouTube video representing the city, and to who? Well, I'll tell you. I'm here to tell the rest of the state of New York to shut up, stop your bitching, stop complaining. Seriously, it's pretty fucking pathetic. One discussion I've had more times than I care to count is with people from upstate New York complaining about how New York City doesn't speak for them, doesn't represent them, and that they always come second place to the city. Well, that's just tough. Here are just a few things I've heard people from upstate New York complain about. Number one, I hate it when I tell people I'm from New York and they automatically assume I'm from New York City. No shit, they're gonna assume that. When people think of New York, they think of Times Square, they think of Manhattan, taxis, traffic, the subways, they think of Broadway. They think of theaters, fashion, they think of Wall Street and the stock market. They think of the Yankees, they think of the Knicks, they think about Brooklyn, Queens, and yes, even the Bronx. If you don't want to get confused with New York City, instead of saying you're from New York when somebody asks, say you're from Rochester, say you're from Syracuse or Buffalo or whatever part of the state you're from. Be more specific and you'll save yourself a lot of aggravation. Let's take California for example. Unlike New York, California has several major cities that actually contribute significantly to the state's economy. Each state also having something unique that adds to its own reputation. Somebody might say they're from California, but probably will be more specific and say they're from Los Angeles or San Diego, San Francisco, Oakland, Sacramento, or San Jose. Get it? Number two, there's more to New York than New York City. True, there is more to the state of New York than just New York City. I'm not trying to minimize the beauty and significance of the state. New York is home to some amazing state parks, mountains, world-class skiing and snowboarding. Pristine lakes and rivers can be found all over. New York is home to some of the best state and private colleges in the country. It also has some of the best vineyards and breweries around. So I'm not forgetting all the great things there are all throughout this state. Number three, New York City isn't all that. I'm from Buffalo. We've got 2 pro sports teams. Whoop-de-fucking-do, Buffalo. That makes you special, right? No, sorry, it doesn't. The fact that you're the 3rd poorest city in the country, that's what really makes you special. But you've got 2 pro sports teams. That means nothing. Sorry. Detroit and Cleveland both have more professional sports team than you, and they're doing worse. A lot worse. But at least you can sleep well at night knowing you're doing better than Detroit. Number 4. You call that a lot of snow, come to Rochester and you'll see a lot of snow. I feel like I need my tea for this one. But that's what you're going to go with. The fact that your city is a shit place to live in the wintertime and you can laugh at other cities when they complain about getting even the slightest bit of winter weather. Oh, look at those poor saps in Dallas going nuts over a few inches of snow. If only they can experience our winters, then they'd never complain. You guys get a lot of snow. That's not something to brag about. That sucks pretty bad for you. Number 5, I live in Westchester. I'm not upstate. Westchester is a weird buffer zone between the city and the northern counties. It's a pretty well-to-do area, and they know damn well they're not part of the city, but don't really want to associate themselves as being upstate. Sorry to break it to you, Westchester, but as far as the folks in the city are concerned, if you're north of the Bronx, you're upstate. And number 6, New York City isn't better than us. Well, let's take a look at some figures. Here is a map of New York State. The total area covered by the state is 54,556 square miles. According to the 2012 U.S. Census, the state population is 19,576,125. And here is New York City all the way down here. The total area covered by New York City is a mere 468.5 square miles. According to the same 2012 census, New York City has a population of 8,175,133. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to include the Long Island counties of Nassau and Suffolk in my figures with New York City, since they share the same geographical island with Brooklyn and Queens and contribute significantly to the city's revenue. Nassau and Suffolk have a combined population of 2,846,241 and cover a total land area of 22,826 square miles. So what do we have here? New York City and Long Island have a combined population of 11,021,347. That is 56.3% of the total state population. New York City and Long Island cover a total land area of 2,826 square miles. That is a mere 6% of the total state land area. So what this tells us is we have over half the entire population residing on only 6% of the land. But we already knew New York City was densely populated, but what impact and significance does this have? Here's a Wikipedia page talking about the economy of New York State. And right off the bat, it says New York's economy is dominated by New York City, but also has other productive cities, suburbs, and rural areas. But it's dominated by New York City. Scroll down a little further. Here again, it says New York City dominates the economy of the state. It is the leading center of banking, finance, and communication in the United States, and is the location of the New York Stock Exchange on Wall Street in Manhattan. Many of the world's largest corporations locate their home offices in Manhattan or nearby Westchester County. Let's see what else it says. Long Island, we'll get to that in a minute. But some other aspects to the state's economy include mining, some exports, agriculture. You can look this up on your own. But here it says, further information, economy of New York. Why don't we go to that? The economy of New York City is the biggest regional economy in the United States and the second largest city economy in the world after Tokyo. Anchored by Wall Street in Lower Manhattan, New York City is one of the world's 2 premier financial centers alongside London, and is home to the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, the world's largest stock exchanges by market capitalization and trading activity. New York is distinctive for its high concentrations of advanced service sector firms in fields such as law, accountancy, banking, and management consultancy. The financial, insurance, healthcare, and real estate industries form the basis of New York's economy. The city is also a center for mass media, journalism, and publishing in the United States, and is the preeminent arts center in the country. Creative industries such as new media, advertising, fashion, design, and architecture account for a growing share of employment. With New York City possessing a strong competitive advantage in these industries, manufacturing, although declining, remains consequential. Again, other sectors include real estate and corporate location, finance, IT, healthcare, biomedical, manufacturing, trade, media, film, and here is just a long list of companies located within New York City. And just for the hell of it, since I mentioned it, here's the economy of Long Island. Let's see. Let's go down. We all know Long Island is known for its affluence, its residents paying some of the highest property taxes in the country. But let's look at aviation. Long Island industry has long benefited from its proximity to New York City. During the 1930s, the island developed an aviation industry, and until about 1990, was considered one of the aviation centers of the United States, with companies such as Grumman Aircraft having their headquarters and factories in the Bethpage area. Grumman was a major supplier of warplanes for the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps. Scroll down, science and engineering. Long Island has played a prominent role in scientific research and engineering. It was home of Grumman aircraft factories where all the Apollo program lunar module spacecraft were built. That I didn't know. That's pretty fucking cool. And is still home to the Brookhaven National Laboratories in Nuclear Physics and Department of Energy Research. All of this makes Long Island one of the leading high technology areas in the world. Long Island also has a big agriculture market, as well as many, many fantastic vineyards. Their wine is just amazing. Breweries as well. Long Island has a ton of those. Great beers. Tourism and fishing industries. Okay, what else we got here? Oh, wanted to point your attention to this. It's from the Hudson Development Corporation, this little slideshow here, but just wanted to focus on the first couple pages. Here, New York State is divided into 11 economic regions. New York City is the largest single tourism region with 65% of state visitor spend. New York City, Long Island, and Hudson Valley together, essentially doing what I did, except they're including Hudson Valley, comprise nearly 80% of New York State traveler spend. 80% of the traveler spend is essentially made in the lower part of the state, which is the point I've been making. What else we got here? Oh, just so you know I wasn't bullshitting about that whole Buffalo thing. Here it is. Buffalo business first. Buffalo's poverty rate tops 30%, making it America's third poorest city. Sorry to hear that, Buffalo. What do we got here? Oh yeah. Also wanted to point out, this is from the governor's 2012 statement. Again, Buffalo, where was I saw it? Yeah, $1 billion economic development package for Buffalo. Buffalo is the third poorest city in the nation, with 28% of its residents living in poverty and chronically high unemployment. I hope that helps, Buffalo. They really need it. And here, New York City breaks tourism record again in 2012 with 52 million visitors. Just driving the point home that everybody wants to go to New York City and not the rest of the states. And lastly, I just wanted to point this out to you. This is from the 2012 Economic and Revenue Review for New York State. Here, with New York City's position as a financial capital, events that impact the financial market have a significant impact on the New York economy. This was particularly apparent in 2009, as shown in Figure 22. Here we go. 2009, it just dipped by about, let's see this, 4%. So this just says that anything that happens in New York City directly impacts the entire state, and that is not necessarily the case in the opposite. As we have seen, Buffalo is doing poorly, and that doesn't have much of an impact, if any, on the rest of the state. With the amount that the rest of the state complains about the city, they often come off as jealous lovers or friends who aren't nearly as popular or successful. It's pretty sad. Or here's an analogy. Just imagine a really banging party on the first floor of a 2-level building. Then the people upstairs are constantly yelling, "Hey, why don't you guys come up here? We've got cool stuff too. That party downstairs isn't that great. Come up here." That's how I see the rest of New York State. Like I said, I'm not trying to minimize the rest of the state, but they complain so much and it's incredibly annoying, so I felt the need to put them in their place in a sense, and a little bit to annoy them back. I know some of what I said will get under their skin, and I look forward to hearing all of their responses. Thank you for watching.